Hi, good morning, and welcome to this morning's press conference, Preparing for Census 2020. My name is Noelle Nichols. I'll be your host and guide this morning as we dive into all things census. I'm pleased to welcome this morning the Acting Managing Director of the Bahamas National Statistical Institute, Ms. Leona Wilson, as well as the Chief Census Officer, Ms. Kim Saunders, and the Assistant Director in the Grand Bahama office, Ms. Clara Lowe, along with other representatives of the team at the Bahamas National Statistical Institute and members of the media and those viewing online. Good afternoon again. We have a short program for you today to provide some updates on the upcoming census, as well as we will take and facilitate questions from the media. So without further ado, I would like to turn over to our Chief Census Officer, Ms. Kim Saunders, who will bring some introductory overview remarks. Ms. Saunders?
Thank you, Noelle. A pleasant afternoon. Thank you for joining us today for a few important announcements concerning the upcoming Census of Population and Housing, an important exercise we typically conduct every 10 years. The current census round was originally planned for May 2020. However, setbacks related to Hurricane Dorian and the COVID-19 pandemic resulted in a few postponements to the census exercise. Today, I am pleased to announce that the census will take place starting in January 2022. And for the first time, the census will be completely digital. The digital format will not only transform how data is managed and analyzed, but it is also changing the way data is collected. For the first time, there will be 3 ways for individuals to complete the census questionnaire online. Online is the first one. Secondly, via telephone and in person. For the online census, there will be a questionnaire that individuals can complete from the comfort of their homes, any time of the day and at their leisure. Via telephone, census enumerators will administer the questionnaire over the phone. Finally, the traditional in-person interviews will also be conducted. Census workers will do an all data collection using digital devices, which means all census data, no matter which collection method is used, will be directly uploaded, validated, and processed in a real time by a robust software solution that was pioneered and co-financed by the World Bank. The information provided for the census is used for important planning and policy decisions in government and in the private sector. Census data helps to determine school zones, the location of housing developments, and assist the government to make decisions about the allocation of public resources. The transition to the digital census was planned long before the pandemic. It is still obviously have added advantages given the public health challenges we face. Closer to the new year, we will provide additional details about the digital census, including tutorials to show how individuals can participate in the online questionnaire. However, today our focus is on the very important census listing exercise announced earlier this year. Census listers are currently in the field conducting a pre-census listing exercise to create a national register of households and to collect household contact information. My colleague from Grand Bahama, Assistant Director Clara Lowe, will share more details about this exercise in a presentation following my remarks. The exercise requires census listers to go door to door across the country, and I want to ensure the public that we are following all of the established public health guidelines to ensure the safety of our public and our census listers. Listers have been provided with masks, face shields, and hand sanitizer. They are advised to administer the questions from outdoors, keeping a safe distance recommended by health officials. Census listers work in small teams, but they drive to various districts in separate vehicles and socially distanced. For the success of the first digital census, we need the support and cooperation of the public today. There is a listing exercise going on now until the end of November that is largely aimed at collecting contact information for all households. This contact information will give members of the public the freedom to choose how they participate in the new digital census, whether online, via telephone, or in person. For the power to choose, you must first take part in our pre-census listing exercise. When you see our listers, please answer the knock and remember, the count depends on you. I will now turn over to Ms. Lowe, who will provide more details about the census listing exercise. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Saunders. Ms. Lowe, I'm just going to pull up your presentation now. And as Ms. Saunders would have mentioned, Ms. Lowe will go into detail about the pre-census listing exercise. Ms. Lowe, you can go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. Preparing for the Census 2022. It's been a long run, but we are now set. We are setting the groundwork for the Census 2022. And with that, we are coming to your house about the census pre-listing. Now, in order to prepare for the upcoming census of population of housings for 2022, you will see listers coming to your home from our department, and they will knock on doors only to get brief information. You will need this information and your help. We will need this information and your help to make the upcoming census a success. Now, what do we need from you? We're in partnership with you. So when we knock on the door, we need you to answer. We need you to answer just 3 to 5 short questions from the listers. We need to speak to you briefly about obtaining household contacts, email address, your telephone contact, etc. Now, we're not coming inside your home because of health reasons. We are now following the proper health distancing. So you don't even have to come outside of your home. You can answer from the door or even a window if you want to. We need to ask you to please secure your pets, though, because this is a very important thing. One of our listers has already been injured in the field. So we need you to secure your dogs. Now, having said that we're going to follow the COVID-19 safety protocol, I want to let you know a little bit of what we want you to do. If we miss you and you see a callback letter, which we will place on your door, let me rewind a bit. We are going to come to your door and we will knock. And if you're there, we want you to open. We will ask you 3 questions. You need to give us this information, as Ms. Saunders said, because you want the choice to be yours, whether you're going to do this survey or this census online. So if you're not on the census register, we won't be able to contact you to give you a confidential code that will allow you to do your census online. So if you're home, first, we want you to open your door and speak with our listers through the door or through the window. Now, if we miss you, you will see a callback letter from us on your door. This callback letter is very important because it will contain information that you will need to give the operators when you call in. There will be a number on the callback letter for you to call the Census Callback Center. And when you call, they will ask you to give that information that is on that callback letter. There will be an identification number on the left-hand side to where you live. That is in code for us because we know exactly where those what those codes name. So you give that to us and we'll know exactly where your house is and in which area. Then on the right-hand side, there will be a unique interview code that will allow us to put your information with the correct dwelling. Callbacks that you will, the callback, call us back and provide the household contact to complete the census listing is paramount for the success of this listing. As it's always said, the count depends on you. Now, what happens to my information? We report data from the Institute only in aggregate forms. That is, we group persons together by what we call enumeration districts. That's about 100 homes or more. And there are no names to any information that we release. All information is published in a way that any person or business is kept secret. That is, no one should ever be able to get your information from any data that we publish. So we tabulate and we publish in aggregate form. How committed are we to this? We are very committed. All census listers sign an oath of secrecy and hold information to the strictest confidence. The Bahamas National Statistical Institute has a mandate to protect private information in all statistical reporting. Now, how secure is this? The information collected by the census listers is keyed into a secure software that forms the foundation for the upcoming census. That is, we have a server that is encoded so that there can be no breach of the server, and all information is put into a software that codes it and keeps it safe. Why is the pretest important? Well, the census is now going digital. That was the first thing we had planned. Only those who participate in the pretest will have the freedom to choose. So if you do not participate now, you give up your freedom to choose. The freedom to choose is like this. You give your information, and as the census time comes around, we will call you with a unique identifying code that is yours and yours alone and for your household. And what happens is this unique identifying code is attached to your questionnaire, And when you call in, you are able to pull up your questionnaire online. Now, a full listing of all buildings and dwellings with geographical information is needed to be programmed in the Census database to allow us to give you this choice. Contact details are confidentially linked with your dwelling information, allowing you to benefit from the new convenient way to participate in the census. That is, right from your home, sitting down, signing in, going online, retrieving your questionnaire with your unique confidential code, and filling it in at your leisure. When the census begins, you will receive this code. Now, the other question, when the officers come around, how can I identify them? It's a busy time out there, but our officers are clearly identifiable. One, they will have the department's ID, and they should be wearing it very visible. If you receive a call or a knock on your door and the officer is not wearing his or her ID visible, just ask for it so that they can present it to you. Two, every officer is wearing a Department of Statistics vest. You will see on the back of the vest the logo or the name of the department printed. Three, every officer has a signed introduction letter that tells you a little bit about the listing exercise and the upcoming census. And this letter is signed by the Managing Director of Statistics, Mrs. Leona Wilson. What happens next? Well, we've been in the field for some time in New Providence and in Grand Bahama. Grand Bahama is now wrapping up the exercise in the field, and for the month of August, they should be finished by the end of August. September, New Providence should be wrapping up in the field, and the Family Islands listing exercises will begin. We will begin first with the training of these listers, and every one of your listers go through a very rigorous training so that they know how to enter the information, they know how to greet the public, they know what to do and how to answer your questions. The Family Island exercise will be in the field from October to November. In January, we hope to launch the Census 2022. This is an historical time for us. We have not just gone digital, but we have gone online. We are asking you to make this type of move successful. We are asking you to partner with us so that we can get information that is really needed, not just for planning, but just for your safety. You have remembered that we've gone through many hurricanes, and we need to know how many people are in different areas. So take the time, answer the few questions, participate. Let our listers list you and become a part of this program. Now, how will you be able to contact us? Well, you can call us. On the callback letters, you will see several numbers printed. One's for New Providence, one's for Grand Bahama, and there will be a toll-free number 225-7180 for the Family Islands. That means you can call from the Family Islands when we're in the field in October at no expense. And you can email us too. There are email addresses on each callback number, or you can email us to our central email at census@stats.gov.bs. And if you want to learn a little bit more about the Bahamas National Statistical Institute, that was formerly called the Department of Statistics, go online and visit our website at stats.gov.bs. Yes, the count depends on you. And I hope we have told you a little bit about what we are doing out there so you would understand how important it is for you to participate right at the beginning, so you're not left out of making a choice, whether you want to do it online or you want to leave it up to us to come and contact you in a personal interview. Now, there are some persons who may be here and say, I may not be able to get online, but once you participate in this listing, we will still be able to call you. And from the comfort of your home, you will be able to give a telephone interview confidentially with one of our operators. So either way, don't miss out. Fill out the information with our listers. When they knock, open. When you get that callback letter, call us back. And if at any time you need any more information, just contact our office and someone will be happy to sit down and explain things to you. Thank you for being our partner. Thank you for allowing us to serve you.
Thank you very much for that presentation, Ms. Lowe, and thank you, Ms. Saunders, for that comprehensive overview of what's coming up for the 2022 census in January, as well as the listing exercise that is currently going on that the Bahamas National Statistical Institute needs the public support to make a success. We are now going to transition to open up the floor for questions from the media. As usual, we will do one round of questions for all of the journalists present, and provided time allows, we will facilitate a second round of questions. The first person up is Mr. Theodore Seeley from Eyewitness News. Mr. Seeley, you could go ahead and pose your question.
All right, good morning. Thank you, Noel. I understand that the pre-census listing process gives Bahamians the option to choose. So what then happens for those who miss the pre-census listing process and do not place a return call to the department? How are those residents and their household accounted for?
Ms. Saunders, could you please take that question?
Thank you for your question, Mr. Seeley. Unfortunately, miss our listers, and if they also refuse to return a call to us, then in the new year, at a specified time, following the month of January, our census enumerators will visit their homes the traditional way in an effort to conduct an in-person interview.
Thank you. And the next question goes to Tanya Cartwright from the Tribune.
Yes, good afternoon. I'm filling in for Tanya. This is Ariel Bullock from the Tribune. With the pre-listing and the census in general, I know that the census starts in January 2022. Is it possible to give us a timeline when the census or statisticians can expect all the wrapping up and the tabulating of all the data from this census? And is there the fear that because everything is going online and all the process, is there a fear that we will not get a coverage of all of the population?
Thank you. Ms. Saunders?
Thanks for your question once again. I think I'll start with the latter. You mentioned about being unable to reach all of the entire population rather. So remember that there are three methods. We have the online, which will start off in January. Then we would probably allow about 3 to 4 weeks for that, following the online or the web interviews. Secondly, we'll have the telephone interviews, which will start immediately following the online component. And then finally, when both of those methods fail, we will hire, or we will train and hire census enumerators. And so they will visit door to door for personal in or face-to-face interviews. So with those 3 methods, we intend to contact the entire population. Now, for your second question, the timeline. So we are planning for the enumeration process to be at least 3 months. So January to March of 2022. And we will probably need a few weeks in April for a cleanup. But following the month of April, we have given ourselves about 3 to 6 months maximum for preliminary results of the census to be released.
Thank you, Ms. Saunders. The next question goes to Samarco Lightborn from the Blaze FM Exuma. If Samarco is not there, we will move on to Tyler Simonet from JCN.
Yes, good afternoon. My first question is, what is the overall budget for the 2022 census?
The budget is approximately about 6 million.
Thanks, Ms. Saunders. We will also take the next question from Mr. Notario McKenzie from Eyewitness Digital.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Noel. Apologies if I may have missed this point of clarification. I just wanted to understand the rationale behind the different modes of conducting the census. I think I'd heard that the digital component was something that I was being looked at for some time. Is it possible that the census would be moving to a completely digital mode, or would it always be in 3 different components?
Ms. Saunders, please.
Okay, yes. So when we announced earlier, about a few years back, the 2020 census was going digital, one of the main focuses was that we were abandoning the paper and pencil method of data collection and using tablets. So the digital process primarily refers to the fact that our census enumerators will no longer have paper and pencil to collect the census data, but they will have tablets. So that aspect we have maintained, but given the challenges we have had, particularly with the pandemic, we want to limit as much as possible face-to-face or in-person contact. So hence we have introduced the online and telephone interviews. So it's a combination of 3 different data collection methods.
Mr. Giorgio Bain from R News.
Hi, Noel, a girl. Miss, I wanted to get a clarification on the pre-listing. How's it going in the outer islands? I know we touched on New Providence and Grand Bahama. And also, what method are we looking to carry out on those outer islands? I know we mentioned 3, but are we looking to carry out the same 3 on the outer islands that may have a little bit more trouble with, internet access and the likes?
Ms. Saunders, if you could respond to that as low, if you could just provide some more insight specifically into Grand Bahama as well afterwards. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Bain. So let me clarify, the Family Island Census listing exercise is scheduled to begin officially in September. Now we start next week with training most of our larger islands in terms of number of households. So we will train some of our islands beginning next week for 1 week. Then following that week, the first week in September, we will train the remaining islands. And once the training has been completed, then we will proceed with the listing exercise. Now, the listing, we may encounter a few challenges, which we are working out in terms of internet connection. But for the most part, from our previous surveys, we have had good internet connectivity from our islands, even those southeastern islands. Now, we will have to use some strategy for different pockets of our population. Those who we know will probably be challenged with the internet, and we would have to probably exercise our in-person visits. Did I answer your question? I know Ms. Lowe will come behind with further input.
Yes, it did. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Ms. Lowe, if you could also just emphasize, speak to the value of the in-person, the telephone method, particularly for remote locations and the elderly.
Okay, thank you, Nicole. Just let me do a little clarification here. The listing is done the same way where our listers go out in the islands, and they go door to door. They do the GPSing, get the positioning of every dwelling, and they ask the 3 to 5 short questions. And this listing is what allows the 3 methods of doing the census come January. And what will happen is sorry about that. What will happen is once that is done, like Ms. Sanders says, we will probably have some difficulties in some of the other islands that may have some challenges with internet connection if they want the opportunity to fill out their questionnaire, their census questionnaire online. Now, in Grand Bahama, we, like I said, I think most of our persons have internet access, if not all. Now, we don't know how long we're going to be in this state of having to be very careful about contact and health. So it is imperative that persons do try to make themselves available to give their information so that they can fill out the questionnaire online. If that is not done, like Ms. Sanders says, we will, because we have to have full coverage, and that is a mandate for our institute. So we will go and do it in person. We will, of course, adhere to all of any protocols that will be in place at that time, but we will have to do that. So we are again saying to the public, yes, take this opportunity and become part of the census register so that you can get your unique code. Did I answer that question? If not, you can repeat a part of it that I didn't answer, Noel.
I was just asking you to explain for remote locations, the opportunity to do the telephone interviews as well, and also for elderly persons who might not be comfortable with the online survey.
Okay, this is a wonderful key opportunity. As Noel said, if you are remote or you may not be that savvy with or comfortable with using technology and going online and surfing. But Noel, I will tell you, I know some old persons in my church and they know how to surf that internet. So I think we may be surprised at how many of our elderlies will go online and do this. But for those who may find it a challenge, we are offering what we call CAT-T, where you have the computer-assisted telephone interview. And we have now a census call center set up, and we're about to launch it during the listing. So we'll get used to how it will operate so that it will be fully operational during the census. And you will have very friendly operators sitting there waiting for you to call in, and you can just give them your unique identification code. They will pull up your questionnaire and they will tell you, ask you a few questions to make sure they have the right dwelling, and then they will enter the information with you. Just as if it was face-to-face, but over the telephone. So this is another way technology is helping us to get the task done, no matter what the situation is.
Thank you. The next question is for Cleopatra Murphy. Okay, well, we are going to circle back now if any of the journalists have a final question. Back to Mr. Seeley.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Bolag?
Good, thanks.
Mr. Simonet?
Miss Simonet, sorry.
Miss Simonet, yeah, sorry.
It's okay. I don't have any further questions. Thank you.
Hello? This thing isn't working. They're not responding to me. Hello? Can you hear me?
Hi, is that Cleopatra Murphy?
Okay, hello. This is my only question.
Go ahead.
I know the intent is to get correct data. So my question is the intent to include the illegal community in this exercise?
Ms. Saunders, can you speak to who all is included in the census count?
Ms. Murphy, I'm not quite sure when you refer to illegal exactly who you are referring to. You can explain that to me further, but the census—
Illegal migrants.
Okay. The census includes all residents of the Bahamas. All persons who live here, who call this country their home. So that's our definition. Usual residents, those who have spent 6 months or more in the Bahamas or intend to spend 6 months or more in the Bahamas. As the Institute, we are not concerned about nationality, not concerned about age or any other status. As long as you are a resident of the Bahamas, then the count still depends on you.
Thank you, Ms. Saunders. Ms. Murphy, if you have your second question, we would have gone through all the other persons having a second question. You can go ahead now.
That's it for me. Thank you.
Okay, great. Well, if those are, sorry, was there our news? Actually, I don't think I went back to our news for your second question, Spain.
Maybe if Ms. Saunders could just provide an update for us on how the pre-listing is going here in New Providence so far. Are listers having any difficulties? How's that going?
The listing exercise in New Providence, I think, is going pretty good. We have had some challenges. Our initial deadline date was the end of August. We have extended it to an additional month. Mrs. Lowe would have referred to a few challenges we've had in terms of some of our listers have been bitten by dogs. There has been, of course, in all situations, there are non-responses. But generally speaking, we have been pleased with the calls that have been coming in from those persons who we did not meet at home. And so we are about to wrap up the listing exercise in New Providence in another few weeks. And we will then engage simultaneously in cleaning up of that data, because this data is very important for us to prepare for the online component. As for Grand Bahama, I can make a note to this. Mrs. Lowe, who is the officer in charge of the Grand Bahama office, can also speak to it if she wishes to. But Grand Bahama, of course, being smaller than New Providence, they are completed with the listing exercise. So they're in the process of doing some callbacks, because one of the aims of the listing exercise is to get as many household contact information as much as possible. This allows the public to take advantage of the online and telephone interviews. So Grand Bahama is in that cleanup process and trying to ensure that more persons, the information from their contact in terms of their households, have been received.
Thank you very much, Ms. Saunders. If there are no final questions, just a few reminders. Mr. McKenzie.
Thank you. Just following up on what Ms. Saunders said, I was just wondering, is there a number or baseline in terms of how many persons or households are trying to be reached in the census?
From the 2010 census, had a count of about 110 households, I think, approximately. And so what we have done in preparation for the 2020, we did an increase of about 10%. So we were looking at least about 119,000 households.
Okay, great. Well, thank you all for those questions. Just a reminder, the official new timeline for the census is January 2022. Right now, there is an ongoing census pre-listing exercise that will take place from now and continue until November. It's very important that the public looks out for the census listers to answer the knock and answer a few quick questions so that they will have the opportunity to have all of the options available for the digital census. If they miss the census listers and they receive the callback letter, please call the census call center back and provide your details. All of this is very important for the success of the census, but also to give the public the freedom of choice as to how they would like to participate in the January census. I am going to just turn it back over to Ms. Saunders if you have any final thoughts that you want to share, and Ms. Lowe, before we just close.
Thank you so much, Noelle. And so I just want to say to the public that your support and your assistance, we value that as an institute. We are counting on you to provide accurate information. As the institute, our mandate is to ensure that the public is never hampered by lack of inadequate and reliable data. And so we conduct censuses and surveys, and we come to the public for your assistance. And so we want to thank you for the assistance in the past and look forward to your assistance in the pre-listing exercise as well as the main census in January 2022. So thank you so much.
Ms. Lowe, you're on mute. If you could just unmute yourself, please.
No, well, I will simply add to that. We are like we say, we help us serve you. So we are asking you to participate because we can only give information in aggregate form from the information you give personally. And as I say, it is having lived in Grand Bahama through many, many storms, it's good to know where people are. The department was able to give that information in. And so now we need you to give this information to us so that we will know how many persons are in certain areas. And that's why those 3 to 5 short questions are very important to you and to us. Answer, please, when we knock. We are hoping that it's going to be a good count and that everyone participates in this 2022 census. It's historical, Noel. I mean, this is the first time we're doing a lot of firsts. And so if you miss being a part of doing something for the first time, you miss out. And then you limit yourself to your choices. I don't know about you, I like to have choices. And if I want to do mine online, I will go and sign up with the census register, with the listers, or call in with the information. We're looking forward to serving you.
Thank you very much. I want to acknowledge again the presence of the Acting Managing Director, Mrs. Leona Wilson. Thank you both ladies for your presentation this morning, and thanks to the media that joined us and the technical producers at the Bahamas Information System, the BIS, and the Central Communications Unit. Thank you, everybody, and y'all have a great afternoon.
Good.